Every faith marks the circle of life with age-old rituals and ceremonies. But how are they celebrated and commemorated in a modern, multi-faith Britain? In this episode, Hinduism, with almost 1 million followers in the UK. But what does it mean to be Hindu?
Good question.
Is that a trick question?
Whatever Hinduism is, you will never get one response.
From birth
Thank you, Dad.
to growing up,
Have to be on my own now, have to be responsible for myself.
marriage,
Having that, necklace tied around me, I thought, oh wow, I'm your wife.
to the end of life.
In Hinduism, the journey of the soul is very, very important.
How do Hindus across the faith mourn loss?
If we did do something wrong and then Dad's soul doesn't get to God, was that my fault?
And celebrate life?
Everything that you do in your life, you regard it as selfless service to a greater cause. And where does that come from? By regarding everything as divine.
And what can these personal stories tell us about the universal experiences we all share?
It's just about trying to do good and be good.
Give up your lust, give up your ego, give up your greediness.
Hinduism, you're in charge of your own destiny.
People often say it's a way of life.
In Milan, can you go get my towel and a hairdryer for me?
Oh, did you not put the hairdryer?
No, I just had to use it.
18-year-old Samahit is leaving home for the first time to go to university.
Leaving home is a bigger deal than you think it is.
What colour is yours again?
Grey. I'm actually on my own now. I've got to be responsible, got to do things on my own. It's a big change and it's emotional to leave your parents. Stay in front of me, it's a bit heavy.
Okay, I'll come, I'll help you.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I've got it, just stay in front of me. To mark this occasion, as we are Hindus, we think of it as like our almost housewarming. I'm moving away from our family into my new home.
It is a very common thing for young Hindus to move into their new universities and their family will give them a new murti. And it could be a Ganesh murti, it could be a Shiva murti, it could be a Krishna murti. I've kept a Saraswati murti because for me that's the goddess that matters the most.
Contrary to popular belief, Hinduism doesn't have loads of gods. It only has one god.
Hindus believe in Brahman, the source of all creation.
It's through that one god, the manifestations. So when we pray, rather than praying in an empty room to nothing, we pray to some form of god.
These gods and goddesses, also known as deities, are representations of Brahman. Hindus believe each has its own characteristics, like Krishna, the god of compassion, or Ganesh, the god of beginnings.
Some people might be more inclined to a different god or goddess, may pray more to one, pray less to one.
There are Sri Lankan Hindus, Pakistani Hindus, Bangladeshi Hindus, Nepali Hindus, and therefore there are so many different deities, devas and devis.
Sometimes really hard to sort of distinguish and say this is culture and this is religion because it's really mingled together and through thousands of years.
This is Goddess Saraswati. She represents wisdom and intellect. She is essentially the symbol of education in India. So almost every educational institution in India will have some kind of image, at least, of Saraswati Mata, Mata being mother. It's almost becoming like a symbolic thing of almost transferring it over to him.
Yeah.
So he has it now for the next 3 years.
He's passing on to me a Saraswati Murti. That's what he has had where he's lived for 3 years outside of our home. It's good, nice and clean. She is the embodiment of knowledge. He links to the fact that I'm going to university, moving on to my next level of education. So it's like she's almost helping me concentrate and focus onto the knowledge that I'm learning. We are a Hindu community and this is what we like to do and this is how we invoke our blessings and spiritual essence within our new homes.
For his final meal at home, Samahit's mother has prepared some traditional North Indian dishes.
Being Hindu, to me it means that that's my identity that I'm going to carry It literally covers all of what I am, what I do, and how I like to carry myself. So there is no me without my Hindu.
It's all about, journey is good, but you should know about your destination clearly. Yeah? So having a clarity about your destination, where exactly you're going, makes your journey fruitful and enjoyable. And that's what the Hinduism teaches you.
There's like a support system that's with you the whole way. And the only thing that's going to let go is you. It's not going to let go of you, you're going to let go of it. Gives you a clear mind of what's good and what's right and what's to do next, which I think is the most important.
That's a really nice way of putting it.
Just before we left, we did the Hanuman Chalisa in our prayer room upstairs. That's something we do regularly when we want to pray together and when we want to pray with other families. It's just a really nice chant, and it has a really nice flow, really nice invoking sense to it. The last moments just before you leave are quite emotional. Packing your clothes, looking at your room, doing your final prayers within your own home. I think those are the bits that you'll always remember. That's the transition from moving from one place to the other.
And we're on our way.
Samahid's family are accompanying him on the journey to his halls in central London.
So we've just made it in. We're going past Westminster now. How are you feeling?
Excited, man. London looks good.
London looks good, yeah? Ready for the London life?
New place.
Mum's got Saraswati Mata, the Murti separate. And here you are. Dad, want to give a quick wave to the camera? Cover your nose.
I think it's important to make sure that blessings are actually coming into the home. It's not inbuilt into where I'm leaving. We have to call it upon us to come inside the room almost. Oh, wow.
To bless a new home, Hindus recite prayers from the Vedas. Hinduism has no single holy book, but these ancient Sanskrit texts are some of the oldest and most sacred Hindu scriptures. It is believed the Vedas were received by the sages directly from God in their meditations and were passed on to humanity as the Shruti, meaning that which has been heard.
Through that moment, I try to make sure that my mind doesn't wander. I try to make sure that I'm focused on what I'm doing, what I'm saying during the puja. You're at a point where you're thinking so much that you're not thinking almost. And it just flows and flows and flows, and you just hear the vibrations of the puja, and it's really nice. It calms you down, and it sets you up for your new journey. It almost settled me down, gave me a sense of peace. It gave me a sense of belonging within the room, that this is the room that I'm going to be in. And I've found peace within this room already.
Can you take away all your fears?
Not completely. It can't completely take away your fears. Only you can do that on your own. But obviously it can help. So before I went back inside, I touched my parents' feet. And that's just a semblance of taking their blessings. So it's taking the highest parts of my body to the lowest parts of theirs. So it's taking away the ignorance, the ego of myself and putting it down to the lowest point of people who are older, people who are more wise, to take in their learnings, their experiences and thoughts with myself.
Buy your mask.
As an Asian girl being brought up in the UK, you know, you were never allowed to have a boyfriend. So there comes an age when you're like 24, 25, and everyone's like, why are you not married?
If you're looking to get married, ideally would want to be Indian to start off with, and then probably Gujarati, and then if it works out, then it's Patel.
Did your parents ever say that to
No,
you?
it was my
Just your understanding?
just my understanding of it.
For all Asian families, I think, regardless of your religion, getting married is like a massive social family responsibility that you have to kind of fulfill.
I think it was just a bit of a shock for my parents. They didn't expect me to get married to an English guy. It was very, yeah, it was quite a stressful time.
I got married when I was 21 years old. It was a traditional Hindu wedding. I had 1,400 people at my wedding.
In Hinduism, it's arranged marriages. People just check the families and everything is fine. So within 40 days, we got engaged and we got married.
There's a common saying that the divine was lonely, and so he split himself in half. The purpose of life is almost to find that other half, the other half of your soul.
We definitely did ask our family's opinions and what they wanted, but I think we always had the final say in what we want. And I think that was quite different to previous generations.
Navi and Karan met in May 2017.
Navi doesn't follow religion just because you have to follow religion. She has this thing of questioning, but I'm different in that way. I just follow religion because my parents told me this is how it's done. Navi can be a really modern Hindu. My parents are really traditional Hindus. I'm kind of in the middle.
In our culture, the whole arranged marriage is still an idea that's still there. I mean, lots of people marry for love now, so we call them love marriages. But with the arranged marriage, traditionally, we have our horoscopes, and they're usually like matched for compatibility, and usually a percentage comes out of it. Thankfully, we had a love marriage. We didn't actually have to have our horoscopes matched because we already had compatibility. Although some family members did want to do that, we kind of was like, no, because there's a lot of people that don't get married purely on the basis that their horoscopes don't match.
In 2019, they decided to marry with a traditional Sri Lankan Tamil ceremony.
With the Hindu wedding ceremony, it's the only time in life that you are elevated to God status. So even the priest sits on the floor, you sit on a platform. So when the priest ties a string on your hand, that kind of symbolizes that you've been elevated to a God status. You have a Ganesha Puja first. With all beginnings, we pray to Lord Ganesha, Lord that starts things off.
Traditionally, the bride and groom don't see each other in the days leading up to the wedding.
The first time I'm going to see her, she's going to be like
Walking onto the
stage with all the bridal stuff.
I think with the Hindu ceremony, there's like two key elements. The first one, in Tamil it's called Kanyadanam, but it's a universally Hindu thing that all Hindu weddings do. It essentially means the giving away of the daughter. So the dad will hold your hand and basically say, all these years I've looked after you so well. My dad's not here. My uncle did that role for me, which was really nice. And now he takes the hand of the groom and say, now it's your time to look after my precious daughter. Do you agree to look after her? And then the groom responds saying yes. Essentially, it's quite similar to English weddings where a dad gives a daughter away, you know, walking down the aisle to give your daughter to the husband. When I come into the ceremony, I wear a sari that's given by my family. And then you give me a sari to wear. And then I go back and change and come back in that sari. So red is kind of seen as a very auspicious colour, and it's a colour that most brides choose. The second sari is usually a red one. For me, the most significant moment is when the tali is basically a gold blessed pendant, and it kind of represents your husband's life. The husband puts it on you, and I remember that moment really vividly. Everyone's got their flowers, and flowers is like confetti ready to throw it at you as well. And they're just waiting for Karen to come forward and put it over my neck. Everyone's so happy because I think it's like a bad omen or a bad sign if people take too long tying the tali. So there was this element of you need to do it fast, otherwise it's not going to be good. Having that necklace tied around me in that moment where everyone's cheering for you, I thought, oh wow, I'm your wife. Hinduism is a very strong part of my identity. It's something I hold on to very dearly. And it wasn't until the wedding I realised that, oh wow, this is so powerful. I've realised there's the history behind it. It's so rich in its culture. It's very, very much down to you to interpret it in your own way. And I think that's why I love being a Hindu.
The Hindu ceremony is very important because it's a blessings. If you just don't do the Hindu ceremony, then we feel that there's no blessings for the God. Because in life, to be successful, always remember the blessings from God plays a very, very important role in your life.
All Hindu ceremonies and rites of passage throughout life, from birth until death, are seen as important steps on a spiritual journey.
Our primary goal is to reach this position of moksha or mukti, which is basically spiritual enlightenment. Karma or karma, as it is known in the West, is very much the main fundamental thing around Hinduism. If you do good in this life, good things will happen in the next life.
Mum always believed in reincarnation. When we go, you come back. I don't personally know.
I don't really believe in it, but I don't want to take the chance. So if I have to kill a spider, then I always think that, should I kill it or shall I just put it back in the garden, because that could be me in the next life.
I'm more spiritual now, though, definitely, than what I was before. The way things happened with Dad when he passed away just makes me believe there is something after life. No. Let's have a look at the ones of Nana first, because these are really nice.
Do you call him Nana or do you call him Grandad?
Nana, yeah.
Because it's an Indian tradition. He looks like Elvis Presley.
He does, doesn't he?
Down here.
Yeah.
Priti recently lost her father, Arvind.
It's been emotional, to be honest. It's been really nice to find them. There you go, so that's Nana, and that's his mum, and that's his brother.
Hindu traditions state the funeral must take place as soon as possible after death to allow the soul to leave the body.
In Hinduism, the journey of the soul is very, very important. And what really death is the disconnection of the soul with the body. When the soul migrates from one body and into the next body, it always carries with it the intellect and the thoughts of this life. And that's why it's very, very important how we live our life.
Hindus believe spending time with the body is an important part of the grieving process.
I actually didn't want to go in at first because I didn't know how I was going to react seeing Dad in the coffin. But I thought he was going to wake up at one point. It was so surreal. I love you. He just looked like my dad, like how I remembered him as I was growing up. Because Dad believed in the afterlife, for the Indian culture, is if you don't have the right religious ceremony, like they don't believe that your soul reaches to God and where it's meant to go. I know, he is smiling, isn't he? It's nice to see him smile. He's with Nanima, that's why he's smiling. Yeah. When we looked at him, when we was talking to him, it was like he was just smiling at us. It was really sweet, especially for the kids to see him like that.
Antyeshti, the last rites for a Hindu, are funeral rituals that vary depending on the family traditions of the deceased. The funeral service occurs just before cremation.
First of all, what we do is I give them water in the right hand, and then I do my mantras. In reality, I'm praying to the river Ganges. They close their eyes, so then only concentrating, focusing on the Lord. And then I ask for 5 things to the Lord before they proceed with the prayers. Number 1, Lord, please help us do these prayers with the words from our heart. Number 2, 5 is a very important figure in here because the physical body is made of 5 elements: fire, water, air, earth, and sky. During the prayers, Lord, we're asking for forgiveness. Number 4, when a cremation has done, the mind and the body is gone. All you have got is the ashes, which will be scattered later. Number 5 is ego. There's nothing left, only the soul travels. Slightest of the ego within you will not allow you to do the prayer of forgiveness. There is a belief in Hinduism always that if you do a good karma, it will always be useful even in your next life. Because we always believe in reincarnation. What I want to do, put the silver coin inside the mouth.
He asked us why did we put the 5p coin in his mouth. I remember that quite importantly, and he said it's like an antibiotic. He said that wherever he's reborn, let him be born in health. He had Parkinson's, but when he's born again, that he doesn't have any health problems.
But your prayer should be that, Lord, wherever he's born again, make sure he's born with a silver spoon in the mouth. What you are asking, Lord, in his next birth, try and not give him any illness. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I don't know what I actually do believe in, even though I had the religious upbringing. I just hope there is a better place, like afterlife.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya.
Losing both parents, it's been really hard. And I have to have comfort in thinking they're both together somewhere better than where we all are now. I just think their souls are together, just how I like to feel and how I like to see it, because now they're both not here with me, at least I know they're both up there together.
All of you have got tulsi in your hand. Why do we do that? There is this green tulsi pan, which in English they call it basil. It's a very divine plant. We put it in his mouth, but there is a prayer that knowingly or unknowingly, if he has ever committed any sin, Lord, we are begging to you to forgive him. Lord, please release him from that sin.
With Mum's funeral, I didn't understand a lot of it because the priest didn't speak in English, so it was just, I was told to do this, do that, but there was no reasoning behind it.
You've got to put the coconuts on the 4 corners. In Hinduism, coconut has been given a title of a lord.
With Vinod, he was so clear for why we were doing it. Like, we pray for him now that he's gone, but you're also praying for his soul now he has left us. and that he's still going to be looked after and protected when he leaves. So it kind of not gives you closure. It kind of gives you a bit of, I don't know what the word is. It gives you a bit of peace, I guess.
Dear God, bless each member of our family. If you look at it, Hinduism teaches you how to be a good human being. It teaches you reduce your desires, give up your lust. Give up your ego, give up your anger, give up your greediness. The best religion is a religion where you become a good human being.
I feel like he's done his duty looking after me and the boys, and it was just time for him to go. It's just still hard without him. It's really hard. Ashes were scattered at Hendon near a tree, and that's what I went for my dad. But because my dad and his brother believed in the same God, my uncle said to me, like, you know, Dad's got to be scattered on the open water, so that his ashes go to the ocean, so then he's kind of free. That was a bit of a hard decision for me to make, what I wanted to do, because in one respect I wanted my dad to be my mum, but also I wanted to respect the family's wishes of where Dad should be scattered.
After death, Hindus believe the physical body has served its purpose in this life and should be returned to the elements.
With our cultures, once you pass away, they do try to get you cremated, like, more or less straight away. Not that you're pure, but the way they see it is that when you go, they want you to go back to God in your purest form. It's going, we're watching.
Traditionally, Hindus scatter ashes in the sacred river Ganges in India. But in Britain, many Hindus choose to scatter their loved ones' ashes in a local river.
If someone has died, you're always going to do the best for them. You're not going to not do your best for them. And that's what I felt with my dad, that I'm trying my best, but is my best, is it good enough? Is it all the right things? Am I doing all the right things? Have I missed something? If we did do something wrong and then Dad's soul doesn't get to God, was that my fault?
I wouldn't say it's good, but it's okay, I'd say.
Me and my husband made a decision before we had the kids. We said we would not ever pressure them to choose, like, Christianity or being a Hindu. When obviously my dad passed away, when we was clearing my dad's flat out, Louis found some, like, religious like statues. He was like, "Oh, Mum, can I keep these?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can." And now, like, they're pride of place in his bedroom. It's really nice.
And so why do you have these in your room?
Because to remember my granddad. Yeah, to remember my granddad him by keeping his stuff from him onwards. And then we give it to our children when we're older. Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like they're kind of pushed in any direction. We're letting them take their own direction in what they want to believe in and how they feel about life. I guess especially with my dad now gone, I feel like Louis kind of taken more side to, like, the Hindu side of, like, the culture and stuff. It's quite sweet that he's interested in that now as well, especially now he's older as well. He can make his own choices. So yeah, it's nice that way for him.
A poem for Nana. God saw him getting tired and the cure was not to be. So he put his arms around and whispered, "Come to me." With tearful eyes we watched him suffer and saw him slowly fade away. Although we loved him dearly, we could not make him stay. A golden heart stopped beating. Hard-working hands put to rest. God broke our hearts to prove to us he only takes the best.
Oh, that's really emotional hearing that every time, sorry.
It kind of makes me upset, but it also makes me happy that I said what I feel inside, because my granddad, he loved us in every single way, which made me feel like I was someone special to him. I knew God would take my granddad because he only takes the best people. Well, not in that way, but in a polite way, because he took my granddad to prove that. Oh my God, I don't know.
He was one of the best people who God would take, basically. That's what the read tries to mean.
You read that really nicely. It was really sweet. Love you.
The theory of reincarnation goes to say that, well, whatever we have inside of us, our soul, that is what is coming here again and again. It's just taking a form into a new body.
I really believe in that. Whether it's true or not, I guess I'll never know, but I think it provides a little bit of reassurance and sometimes explanation for things that you just don't have an answer for.
I do believe that whatever is your past, it comes in this life. According to my understanding is whatever you've done, like whatever karmas you get, you carry it in your suitcase with you into your next birth.
What are you looking at? Thinking about your past life? Are you thinking about your past life?
There's lots of talk in Hinduism about when a new baby's born, because we do believe in reincarnation, that there's some element of past life that they kind of bring with them.
He's been quite a sleepy baby, so he could have slept a lot in his past life, isn't it?
The amount of times that when he's kind of staring into space, which he does, Mum will quite often say, oh, so yad ave che, and that just means what you're remembering, and a lot of that is kind of implying that he's remembering his past life.
I haven't thought about it, but who knows what he was before he came into this world.
So one thing he really likes, actually, is to be swung over. I know we named him Simba before he was arrived, but he literally is like a lion cub.
Maybe he knows, because they say that until they're 6 weeks old, they can remember their past, but obviously after that, they forget about it.
Hindus mark the birth of a new baby with a ceremony during the first week of life.
So what are you debating between?
How to spell the middle name. We're trying to make sure it's pronounced as best possible. So it's called the Chatti, which is, it takes place on the 6th day after the baby's been born. Some people use it as a naming ceremony, some people don't. I think it's a ceremony that most Hindus do, but it is kind of the first ceremony that takes place for a new baby. Based on his place of birth and time of birth, we spoke to the priest, and they typically give you a few letters to that they recommend starting his name with. Which one do you think is closer to reality?
The top one then.
Jivan?
Yeah.
Because it's Jivan, isn't it? Is it Jivan?
Jivan.
So I think for us, his name being pronounceable, obviously living in England, whilst we wanted a traditional name, it was really important to both of us that it be simple and people can pronounce it, because it really does build your identity and kind of break your identity when people don't get your name right. Mum goes, flip a coin. I was like, Mum, it's his name. You can't just flip a coin. Think that's enough?
I think it's enough.
Divo, Gor, Jokha.
Okay, we need a piece of paper, plain paper, and a red pen.
We had a divo, which was like a homemade candle just with some wool and ghee, which is clarified butter. What else was on there was ganku. Ganku is like a red powder, which is used in almost every single Hindu ceremony.
This is jaggery. It's just at the end of the ceremony. We just put a little bit at the end of in the mouth.
A bit of sweet food. We always finish off with some sweet food. It is quite a simple ceremony relative to lots of the other ceremonies that take place, I think, throughout life, and therefore we didn't really question not doing it and mark that being like this first ceremony for Krish, essentially.
It's about his future. Technically, we are inviting the gods, and they will come and write his future for him. Ready?
Yeah. Thank you, Ba.
Mummy. It's dead. This is a plain piece of white cloth. It has to be a white one, just plain. And we're going to put baby's little footprints on it. And on this one, after we've done all the ceremony and everything, the god comes and writes his future.
Yeah.
His future.
We were essentially just writing God's name at the top and then leaving the rest of it blank so that they could essentially come and do the rest for us. Yeah, I can hold the tray if you want to do the print. We took some footprints. Yeah, I remember they were pointing in different directions, and I quite liked that because as much as it's really nice to invite the gods and write his future, I just feel like there is an element of kind of it is still down to him to, you know, make his own future. So I thought that was quite nice. It's really nice to do anything to mark a new life. Is he down?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So
So this is perfect timing.
I think it's the first ceremony he's had since being at home. It's the first time we would like invite God to come and like kind of bless him and then guide him.
That was our opportunity really to cool down from, you know, the powers that be and help him in his life beyond what we can do for him.
The final part of this ceremony will be the official naming of their new son.
His Rasi is Ka and Ja, and we've used one of those for part of his name. Ka and Ja. Krish Jeevan Patel, welcome to the world. I think it was nice to just do something to mark his birth and just to invite the blessings and guidance of God and those that aren't with us to help him on.
Do you like his name? Krish Jeevan Patel.
Is that your name?
Hey, Krish.
Hi, Krish.
I think Hinduism for me is really about trying to do good and be good and make the most of everything that we've got.
I always look at Hinduism or any religion as something that guides our life.
There is your journey, my journey, his, her journey.
To find your own purpose, to find how your piece fits in the puzzle of the world.
You try to be the best version of yourself, and ultimately I think that's all we can do in this life. Yeah.